Sean Connors and welcome back to The Outsiders, and this is DM's Tips number 4, and this is all about asking for feedback. Now this doesn't follow the pattern of videos that I previously did back in the day. I'm going out of sync because obviously those were done then, and I feel that some advice was not in the correct order or in an order that would be more palatable for beginning GMs or even GMs with experience. This tip I feel is useful for everybody, and it's one that we constantly need to learn and use all the time, and that is the hardest one of the hardest ones, asking for feedback. Yeah, it's tricky. You probably know yourself, if you're an experienced GM, how difficult is it to get feedback from players, really? If you ask them for feedback, what are they likely to say? They're likely to say to you, "It was great." Are they telling you the truth? Are they telling you the whole picture? Probably not. Why didn't you get feedback? Why wasn't your answer answered? What was the problem? Well, you have to really go right back and really think about the way human nature works. I mean, the most important thing to remember is that humans learn from a very early age, a relatively early age, to take all this information and bring it down to a fairly succinct point. Hence the point, when you ask for feedback, they go, "It was great." When you're little, when you're a young child, of course, without learning that skill, if somebody asks them what they did today, they will give you a mountain of information. They will go on and on and on until you stop them and say, "Oh, no, that's great, thanks very much, let's play something else now." Because that's children for you. Very young children don't know how to disseminate that information, how to break it down into small chunks and make it palatable, which is something we learn as adults. Now, as a DM, that's about as useful as a chocolate fire guard. It really is no use at all. So how do we get around that? How do we re-educate our players to help us? This isn't easy when you're a new GM and you don't really know your players, but one of the ways I've found is not to ask immediately after the game. I've found over years and years of this that generally, and this is speaking to several people really, most people agree that the best way to get the feedback is to wait till a day or so after the game. Phone up the players or email them, ask them to chat. It's always better to talk. Have a chat with them, and get round to the point where you can actually say, "What do you think I did well? What do you think I didn't do so well? What was your favourite part of the game?" All these things are helpful anyway because they're helping you understand that player. Equally, they're going to give you feedback about the bits they didn't enjoy. And I've used this trick a few times with my most experienced players, and they certainly don't know this. But occasionally I will tell them straight. I know I'm my own worst critic, but even I ask for feedback. I find it invaluable. But I will put my hand round, in the nicest way, my most experienced player, phone them up, and I'll say, "Look, Pete, that was a bad session, I really apologise about it," knowing that he will turn around and defend me, knowing full well that it wasn't really that bad, but it provokes him into speaking from the heart. It provokes him into defending me, and by doing so, he gives away information that's very valuable. I wouldn't get that probably any other way without being maybe a bit too honest for my own good sometimes. I find by being very open with my players, it really works for me, and it probably would work for you as well. There is no harm having open communication with them. It doesn't always work immediately after the game because of the fact that some players don't like to speak in front of others. Some players take the lead role in criticising, and that doesn't really help because maybe everybody jumps in and you feel like, what a waste of my time. So I never ask for it immediately afterwards. I'd rather give it a couple of days, let it sink in, and go to talk to your players and then find out. And if 2 or 3 players are saying the same thing, you can pretty much bet your bottom dollar that as a general consensus, that's something that you need to think about. But more often than not, what you're also looking for is, it's a bit like the sandwich syndrome. The idea of a good sandwich is, you want, and they use this for feedback as well, you want some positivity, accept a bit of crap in the middle, and then end on a positive note. If you use that for advice, so seek out something that you did well, ask for something you didn't do so well, and then come back to something you know went well and say, "Wasn't that a great combat? What did you think of that? I thought you did very well there." Of course they're going to say yes because it was their combat and they did very well. But you feel it ended on a positive. I think some people call it a poo sandwich, shall we say that? It's a good technique for yourself because it makes you feel positive even when receiving feedback, and you're in control of the feedback that you receive. So the most important thing to remember is it's important. I said that right back at the beginning of this video, that is the lifeblood of every GM. Because without feedback, you can't possibly grow. You can't possibly improve. there's no room left. And if you don't think you need feedback, you really do need to be perfectly honest with you, probably wake up, because it's probably not the case. Everybody needs some from time to time. I mean, obviously, if you're happy, as we always say in rule 1 of this, and your players are happy, and no one's at all worried, great, carry on. Don't look for it. But the truth is, you should always be asking for feedback, because even if the game's going great, you need to find out the reasons why. You need to develop those reasons even more, and just keep pushing what's working for you as hard as you can, because it's obviously working. Sorry, excuse me, bit of a cold at the moment. So there we are. Today's tip, all about getting feedback from your players. I'm going to quickly recap it one more time and just cover off a couple of loose ends as well. So what we've talked about today really is about how you go about asking for feedback. My golden tip of this is to wait a day or so after the game, then phone your players. We've explained the reasons why players don't generally immediately give you feedback if you ask for it after a game, because by human definition they'll shorten it down to the most discernible thing, which is normally, was it good? Yeah, and that's it. So they'll do the human thing and then walk away. So you have to try to cajole, manoeuvre and gain the advice that you're looking for. And if you use some of those tips, it'll all start making sense. Now later on we'll start looking at some other videos that will build off this, that will start looking at other ways that you can help yourself, if you like, as a GM, to clear your mind before a session, to go in as prepared as you need to be, and that's a key word, and look at things like that. So anyway, I've been Sean Connors. This has been all about DM's tips. This particular program being all about the ways to ask for feedback and comments. And I'll end on that as well, obviously. Always good to send in your comments, your thoughts, your feedback, as always, and never forget that a thumbs up is important, because it lets me know that the program was worthwhile. Take care of yourselves, and happy gaming, and I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.